It's like jujitsu.
Yeah. Yeah, it's a pretty slick move there.
That was.
Oh, he just pinned her though. She's here doing another podcast vlog because guess what? It's St. Patrick's Day, hence the green. I got the old St. Ed's hockey shirt on right now. No, I did not go there. No, I did not play hockey. I went to a golf outing for St. Ed's and they gave me this for free, so I have it now.
Nice.
But it's green and I'm wearing it. I got the Guinness in the cup.
Oh.
Guinness in the cup, what time is this? 11:17?
It is.
Pour yourself out one. Here we are.
Oh, Lord. Man,
Josh, what's going on?
You know, I'm just not nearly as ready for St. Patty's as you are. I'm really sad about it. But I'm doing well. The weather's been beautiful.
We sure has.
We sat outside for about an hour before this because we didn't want to come inside.
It's really nice. I think Instagram is starting to die a little bit. I don't know. Like, I feel like it's not as relevant as a platform as it used to be, you know? Obviously, TikTok has been trending and all these other things. But all of those, like, smaller tier, like, micro content platforms, I personally, like, I look at my relationship with those platforms, I have been getting bored of them lately, you know, just from my own consumption standpoint.
Yeah.
So I think we're really kind of at a place right now where something's going to be changing with how we interact with social media, and there's going to be some sort of new thing coming soon, I feel like.
You know.
But my point is, every new feature that Instagram has come out with lately has been just a carbon copy of something that TikTok is doing.
Yeah.
Right? So yes, they're just trying to copy them, and they're not doing it probably as well.
No.
So to your point, yeah, you have to do something that's going to kind of separate you from that a little bit. You know, unfortunately, I think some of like newer social media and stuff has created this new era of, forget dog trainers, just professionals or people that, you know, have some sort of like occupation or passion or something like that, that because everything is delivered in such micro bits of content, it's forcing people to come up with things solely for the purpose of entertainment and solely for the purpose of satisfying that like tiny bit of our brain that could digest entertainment. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
So I was saying, you know, like a lot of the, I for a while was staying very out of the loop of newer dog trainers. You know, I stayed up to date with a lot of the older popular dog trainers and what they were doing and stuff like that, and staying current on that kind of stuff. But I didn't really follow a lot of the new people blowing up on TikTok and blowing up on Instagram and stuff like that. Until recently, like a lot of it has been popping up in my Explore section lately. And literally, man, the massive following some of these people have acquired, right? 100, 200, 300, 500,000 followers. And you go on their page and their whole page is just micro content that is not even showcasing half the time dog training in the first place, right? They're just current trends on TikTok and Instagram and all that kind of stuff, right? And they're solely for the purpose of entertaining people as opposed to actually showcasing the craft is really, really disheartening, you know? I mean, again, like I do this stuff because I love this craft. I love the craft of dog training.
Yeah.
Right? It's like there's this burning passion that I have that, you know, goes in and outs of different aspects of obviously the craft, right? But I have this passion to continue learning and growing that and doing better and better and better work, right? Even stuff as simple as like Paige and I have had a couple good conversations lately, like while we were filming the vlog, like at the end of the day, where we're talking about just like current things that I'm trying with board insurance. Like I've been doing this for almost 10 years now, right? And I'm still experimenting and trying to find ways that I could do better for the dogs, better for the clients, and come up with, you know, just better ways of doing these things to continue fine-tuning and crafting that craft, you know what I mean? And I feel like modern dog trainers, you know, the way to get popular and the way to make a lot of money right now is to entertain people and not provide as good of a craft and not have as much emphasis on that, right? And I feel like all of them are coming into this with the wrong role models, right? That they're looking at of people that are doing dog training, right? And because they have the wrong role models that don't care about perfecting this craft, they only care about entertaining people, they're coming at it at an even lower tier of things.
Yeah.
Right? And still putting all the emphasis on just entertaining people as opposed to perfecting the craft. And it's just diluting and diluting and diluting and diluting the industry until we continuously keep running into more situations. Paige, how do I fix this? Well, long story short, what I was kind of getting at though is like I'm looking through this. Yeah, what the fuck? But like, literally in the last, this is 2 weeks, right?
Yeah.
Here we are, 2 weeks. All of this, that's 2 weeks worth of freaking content that we put out. And what I'm kind of coming back to with all of this, and what we're gonna tie this all into, obviously, is when I first started training dogs, YouTube was the place to get information to learn how to train dogs.
Yeah.
Because I wasn't looking for how do I create the next cool little short? How do I create a fancy little reel that's going to grab somebody's attention in 3 seconds? I was learning how to train a fucking dog.
Yeah.
Right? And that's what we're trying to do with all this content that we're putting out right now. It gets so easy to look at the bad, right? Like we've spent hours looking at dog trainers. It's like, God, why are they doing this? God, why are they doing this? And it's like beating your head against the wall, like how frustrating it is sometimes, right? Because of the purpose of entertainment. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
These are people that just really, really, really care about doing good dog training, right? So we'll introduce both of our guests here today. First guy here, Michael Ellis. I've talked about Michael Ellis a lot. So Michael Ellis, he blew up on Learberg. Learberg is a dog training company that specializes in like competition, obedience, protection sports, things like that, et cetera, et cetera. And Michael Ellis was like a pioneer of a lot of the modern methods that we use today, right? Incorporating marker training and positive reinforcement training with the balance of different types of training tools and collars and just leveraging precision with it and just, again, just really, really good dog training, right? So he's one person. We're going to dig into some videos here. He has a DVD that I've talked about numerous times on the podcast called The Power of Training Dogs with Food, which one of these days we're going to do a podcast where we just watch the whole freaking thing and talk about it because it's so good. I recommend everybody checks it out. But Michael Ellis was my very, very, very first person I was introduced to dog training when I started professionally doing this. Forget the trainers I worked with, like that I hired. When I first started training dogs, basically, the person I worked for gave me that DVD, said, watch this, memorize absolutely everything in it, and just do nothing but it.
Yeah.
And listen, I learned so much from doing it. And listen, there's holes as far as, modern dog training and how I would incorporate it slightly differently and this and that, but everything in it is accurate to a T. So we're just going to dig into, he's got a bunch of videos on YouTube and stuff like that we'll kind of watch and kind of get a feel for.
Yeah.
Other person, Tyler Muno, right? I've talked about Tyler quite a bit here. Tyler owns a company called Canine Connection out in Buffalo, and Tyler was is, like my mentor when I first started training dogs, right? So Tyler, I discovered through Learberg picked him up for a little bit, right? And started doing some videos, and he was an avid Michael Ellis fan and like that kind of training and stuff like that. But he took all of those concepts and instead of like in Michael Ellis's case, like he applies it to competition dog training, and he does some pet dog training, but it's primarily the competition aspect. Tyler really, really pushed the envelope as far as how to incorporate those methods into like modern day pet dog training and specifically like behavioral modification and stuff. And listen, like some of these videos we're gonna watch are like 8, 9, 10, 11 years old. You know what I mean? So like, I'm not saying all of it is 100% perfect accurate, nor does he do half of this stuff the way that he did in these videos anymore, because he's, like me, constantly innovating his style. Right? And he's somebody I don't talk to as much as I used to, but I'll tell you, like I said, like still kind of a mentor. He is still somebody that I reach out to from time to time if I'm having issues with things, whether from a actual dog training standpoint or the guy has ran a successful business for a very freaking long time. He's helped me with things like that before and stuff as well. So we're going to dig into some of his videos as well and just kind of watch some things and just kind of see what we get with stuff.
There we go. Just getting you up to date.
Thanks.
Technical.
Okay, I think we're good. But growling. So real quick, just a solution for that, right? So reactive dog growled at another person. Now, we're not necessarily going to correct the dog just for growling, but the idea of like, hey, don't do that, redirect onto something else, no problem with that. You know what I mean? Like he clearly told her what she did was incorrect, right? You technically speaking, because the dog knows good is a positive, it didn't calm the dog. You actually just reinforced it a little bit. Told her, hey, that's actually good. Where what we want to do is we want to redirect the focus. Don't do this instead. That's kind of the philosophy of dog training and balanced dog training in general. Consequence for this, reward for this. Consequence for this, reward for this. And he even discussed in this, he said it in half a second, right? He even said, like kind of right there very briefly, the idea here is varying the intensity of your correction, right? We're still correcting for the behavior because a correction is just applying some sort of aversive to change the dog's behavior. In his case, he described the aversive as something even as gentle as just kind of giving the dog a little poke on the side to shift their attention away, and then rewarding for the proper thing. But that's correct philosophy. I mean, like, I feel weird even adding my commentary to this because he's saying it in such a better way than like even I could, Like, you're not going to do away with the warning side of the dog is going to go right to fighting. Again, that is a positive only mentality of, you just don't correct your dog ever because you could make things worse kind of mentality, right? But you have to ask yourself, is the correction really warranted in this situation? Because there's outside variables, right? If I'm always correcting my dog for growling, which it's not inappropriate to correct the dog for growling, right? But I'm not addressing the outside factors of why the dog is growling, you still can put the dog in a vulnerable position where the stressful thing is still happening to them that's causing them to growl in the first place, and then you're adding more stress by them punishing for the display of discomfort. You know what I mean? So it's good. You know what I mean? Like, it's fucking good dog training. But one other point with that here, this is like what we talked about in the episode we did with the fighting dogs, and I don't want to eliminate completely a dog's ability to communicate, because if you tell them you can't communicate at all, like he's just saying, they bottle it up and avoid and bottle it up and avoid until they no longer can do so because they haven't been taught how to properly display discomfort. It just goes, it escalates through the sequence too rapidly. It's for correcting a dog for not sitting, whatever it may be, because the same context, let's take a sit, for example, right? Dog doesn't sit because they're blowing me off because they're staring at the person across the street or whatever it may be. And I go right in with like a level 13 intensity correction, completely unnecessary. It's going to accomplish getting the dog to not be distracted by that, but then anytime I ask my dog to sit initially until they start to get kind of desensitized to it and realize really what the parameter is, they're going to have this ridiculous, over-the-top, dramatic response to that word, and it's going to create some stress because they don't want to get that insane correction. Where if they're just distracted by something over there and they're not super aroused or anything, I could get away with a much less correction for that, which will still accomplish the same thing of getting their attention off of it, but then I won't have all of this kind of side effect of stress that I'll have to then rebuild the dog back up from.
Question on that. So let's say you're using a lower correction and it's not working, like the dog's just blowing it off. How do you work it up and not just make a big...
Good question. So I do tend to follow a principle of just making sure that your increase in intensity of correction is dramatic enough where the next one they won't be able to tolerate as easily, right? I'm still not going to go from, let's say I'm using an e-collar, just so we can have numbers we could use. Let's say I correct the dog at a 10 and they blow 10 off. I'm not going to go straight to 100 from there, right? But I'm also not going to go from 10 to 15, then 15 to 20, then 20 to 25, because the dog will little by little kind of habitualize themselves to that and be like, I could tolerate a little more. I could tolerate a little more. And you can actually make them require a much higher correction by doing that. Maybe I'll go from 10 to 30. Then 30 to 50, you know what I mean? And I'll go in larger jumps so that next one is significantly more motivating so that I don't push them up more, right? Because nagging is a very real thing that can actually make behavioral issues worse as well. Right? So it's finding that fine line, right? Of I'm going to up the intensity enough where they're going to care a lot more than the one before, but not too much where I'm overdoing it. Not feeding into the behavior. Quick little turn away. Stay calm. It's not that big of a deal. Dog has a muzzle on. Dog is on a prong collar in this video. There's no need to get a slip lead on them. I mean, this is where I learned some of this stuff. The short leash, hold the dog on the short leash, pass off the other end of the leash, drop the fucking leash and walk away, give me the dog. That's it. Watch, you'll see it right here. Look, it's got the leash. There it is.
Dang. Smooth as butter.
Come on.
That was pretty awesome. Yeah.
You know what I mean? Like, and listen, this is not a surefire way that the dog's not going to react at you. Like, we did an in-home assessment the other day. I did this with the dog. And granted, we didn't have enough space to go, like, for a long walk and stuff. I did it in the house, which is going to amplify the behavior as opposed to out and about, obviously.
Yeah.
Right? And the dog still tried to fucking attack me once I got the lead, right?
Yeah.
Whatever. You know? Guess what? The dog had a muzzle on. It didn't matter. I had control over the dog. I was able to then get the dog where I needed to get them. Mm-hmm. I had direct control of the dog in that moment. So I was able to manage the situation and it was fine.
Yeah.
Right? But you see how much conflict you resolve.
Yeah, that was crazy.
It doesn't have to be this freaking production. It doesn't.
Yeah.
And this is why I like YouTube, right? That getting back to like why I think we're putting so much emphasis into our YouTube channel and stuff like that, you can't learn this through a 45-second long clip. You know what I mean? I may be able to get a 45-second long clip that's really entertaining of this dog trying to bite him a bunch of times right there. You know what I mean? But how am I supposed to learn? Like, I remember watching this video. This is where I learned some of this.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? How was I supposed to do that if it weren't for longer form videos?
Yeah.
And this is why newer dog trainers coming out now, they're not getting this education. Mm-hmm. This is a 6.5-year-old video.
Yeah.
You know? That's it. Smooth.
Where's he out of?
Buffalo. Yeah. Phenomenal dog trainer.
Yeah, that was...
Phenomenal dog trainer.
I mean, that couldn't win any smoother.
Smooth.
That was awesome, actually.
What else we got here? Let me see if I can find some other ones.
This behavior you're going to see in a minute was a little bit hard for me to read at first, this kind of intensity that you're seeing right here. I didn't quite know how to judge her when she first came in. It was hard for me to tell if she was playful or if this was the beginning of something that could be aggressive, but it's become clear. Also, this video is from like 7 or 8 years ago. You know, this is before we really deeply understood a lot of the like let some of this stuff play out, and when socialization primarily was done in a manage everything kind of mentality, which is why I'm saying it's hard to read, because a lot of it before was like, if you don't know what it is, shut it down, stop it, right? Yeah. Which obviously we know now doesn't do these dogs any good as far as progressing. Things are actually good here, so she's been intense about her desire to play, but she is indeed attempting to play with other dogs. And the intensity comes from one, her nature, like you said, right? She's a pit bull, she's a very intense dog, obviously, and two, it comes from under socialization, right? We've consistently seen, we have a video called, will we be able to help this under socialized dog, I believe. And in that one, we show a dog that's never socialized before, right? And the dog, quote unquote, tried to attack another dog, but it was like, started off as like almost like a weird play thing, you know? And it was very hard to read as well, but because the dog was so under socialized, the intensity was so high because it was the first time you were just like unleashed, you know what I mean? So you got to be aware of those things when you're socializing these dogs. And as they become better socialized and more exposed to these types of things, that intensity level comes down as the interaction and the scenario becomes less novel over time.
Yeah.
All right, so good episode today here, breaking into just good dog training, right? Or I should even specify what I think is good dog training. Dog training that helped me throughout my career and how I think that it could potentially help others.
Yeah.
That's it. That's all that today is about.
Hello?
Hi, is this Corey?
Yes, it is.
Hey, this is David with Miracle Canine Training. How are you?
Hey, nobody. Can't complain.
Good, good. Yeah, I got your contact form. Looks like you have a dog you're looking for a little bit of training help with.
Yes. Unfortunately, I'm in California, though. I just now saw you guys were in Ohio.
Okay, I gotcha. Where in California are you?
Anaheim.
Anaheim. Okay, so you're near the Los Angeles area.
Yeah, more like Disneyland.
Okay, I gotcha.
I'm not gonna lie to you. I'm not opposed to going out there if it's gonna make a drastic difference. You know what I mean?
Yeah. You mean going out to like the Los Angeles area or coming out to here?
No, coming out to where you guys are.
Oh, I gotcha. Yeah. I mean, listen. I mean, we work with out-of-town clients very frequently. It all just kind of comes down to the individual person's travel comfort level, obviously. So we have a couple of different options as far as for like out-of-town people. Some people will just do like a traditional board and train for stuff like that, and they'll figure out a way to get the dog to us. Obviously, we'll do the training, and then we just require that the person is here for a minimum of 2 days to pick up the dog, so we can make sure you get you the proper information. In addition to that, we also do one-on-one classes, and we've done like expedited programs for people where, say you were to come out for a week, we would do essentially a session a day for that week, and just make sure we kind of cram as much info as possible into things. And then from there, any training we would need to do post that, we would do virtually, so if you needed follow-up classes and stuff, at that point, since we already know the dog and stuff, we'd be able to get you that information as easily as possible that way.
Okay, cool. I'm a dog trainer too, so I just don't do behavior modifications. Yeah, I hate doing behavior modifications.
Yeah, understood.
I don't like solving issues at all. I just like teaching dogs cool tricks.
Hell yeah. Yeah, that's awesome. So are you referencing, like, is there a specific dog, like one of your dogs you're looking for help with, or?
Yeah, it's one of my personal dogs. She's 6 years old.
Oh, cool.
She's Amstaff.
Yeah.
She was cool when I used to go away home. I used to go to work. I used to leave her at home.
Yeah.
And I had a neighbor that came to the fence and literally was standing there with the dog, and while she was going crazy and just going nuts,
yeah,
he would give her treats.
I understand.
So,
yeah.
She just kind of created a monster here. Baby, and I ain't gonna let her go.
Yeah, no, I totally gotcha. Yeah, I mean, stuff like that we definitely can help you out with, and depending on how much you wanted to kind of learn about some of this stuff, I don't know if you're training just on the side or you're doing it as your full-time gig or what, but I'd be happy to spend some time with you, obviously, on those types of things as well. So.
100%. Yeah, it's my full-time gig. I got a Mal and a Dutch as well.
Oh,
and, I do
awesome.
Protection training with them as well, so she's just like my pain in the ass that I can't have out.
Yeah, totally gotcha. Yeah, like I said, if you want to make the trip up, like I love working with other trainers and stuff, so we could definitely make something happen. So.
Perfect, brother. I'll definitely be in contact with you.
Cool. All right, man. We'll talk to you soon.
All right, brother. Have a good one.
Yep. What are your big issues you're having?
Okay, so the biggest issues are Pearl does not come when she's called. She doesn't understand no. She has a lot of anxiety around being left. Like if we were to put her in a bedroom, she would tear the door apart, which she has done.
Yeah. She's
ripped through a crate, a large crate, even with a carabiner on it, and has completely bent the door and gotten out.
Yeah.
So and she barks a lot, but I mean, that's, her breed, but it's not so much the barking. It's okay, Pearl, no. And she just looks at you and then continues to go louder.
Yeah.
And she's very friendly with other dogs, but she is 100 pounds. She's very strong on a leash, and she would totally drag me down.
I gotcha. Now the crate stuff where she's breaking out of the crate, is that consistent, or did she just do that once or twice?
She did it every single day for 2 weeks.
Okay.
So to the point that we just had to get rid of the crate because we had bent it back so many times that it was no longer usable.
And what do you do currently if you need to leave her?
We just leave her out and leave everything off the floor. 8 times out of 10, she doesn't really get into anything. If there's paper or something, she will chew it up. But she hasn't damaged property in a long time.
Okay, good. So that's not as much of an issue. It's really more the barking and stuff. And obviously, if she is still getting into stuff, we want to address that. So.
Yes.
Okay, I gotcha. Well, I mean, listen, if you want, what I would recommend is we could just get you in for a session and just kind of see what we're working with. And then from there, if it seems like it's going to be something that's going to be too difficult to work in one-on-ones, we could talk about a board and train. But, I think we should be able to get a good handle on stuff. At least the basics pretty simply,